Hello and welcome back to the British basketball scene. I'm your host, Reese, as always, and I have got a fantastic guest with me today. He is known as the teacher, the one and only freestyler of the UK. It's Tarryn Algar. Tarryn, thank you so much for joining me.
No problem, my friend. No problem.
So how have you been so far? I mean, we're coming to the end of lockdown. How's like the past 4 or 5 months been?
It's been a mixed bag because it's been really good spending every day with my son. I've got a little 2-year-old, so like seeing him develop right in front of my eyes, he's been fantastic. Because when I'm working all the time, I don't really get to see him as much as I would hope. So that's been great. However, like I said, he's 2, so terrible 2s. It can be quite tough sometimes, but it's been all right. And obviously, the basketball, not being able to play, has been, for me, like everybody that knows me, like knows that it's like I'm a ballaholic. Like, let's just put it that way. Like, I play a lot, yeah. And for me not to be able to play has been a bit of a killer. Luckily, I've got a hoop in my garden, which has helped a lot. But not being able to go out there and actually play 1-on-1, 3-on-3, 5-on-5, it's been horrible, to be fair. That part has been horrible.
Yeah, there's only so long you can go, crossing up your 2-year-old and feel like
It's funny you say that, because I actually was messing around. And I actually did cross him and he did fall over. Instead of helping him up, I was like, oh, ankles. But, yeah.
Oh, that's brilliant. So, as I said in the intro, you're known as the teacher. How did you get that nickname?
It's actually quite a recent nickname. I mean, there's a few people, I've got a few different nicknames. Like, there's certain groups of people that call me different things. Some of them are quite expletive, like, dickhead. No, but the teacher came about at Ball Out 3-on-3. Yeah. Which is one of the biggest and the best 3-on-3 tournaments in the country, as I'm sure you know. Shout out to Julius Joseph on that one. And I was playing at Turnpike Lane, and I was playing pretty well. And then we came up against the team that was full of young guys, like, I don't know, late teens, early 20s, played in the States. A couple of them had played in the States, and some of them were like really well known. I'm not gonna put their names out there, but they were really well known, making their name for themselves. And I actually played really, really, really well against them. And then Namo Shiri on the mic was like, oh, he's taking them to school, he's taking these kids to school, and he kept repeating it. And then obviously the teacher, he's taking them to school, and it just kind of came from there. And that was like, I don't know, 3 years ago. But I've had a few. I've got some funny ones. I got flipping Caucasian Sensation.
I was about to pick that one out.
Caucasian Sensation. That was born from a stereotype. You got a stereotype. White guys are like normally just shooters and they're not flashy and this and that. But it was because I had handle, and back then I could dunk a little bit, and I could freestyle, and I had a bit of all-around game. So that was Caucasian Sensation, because I didn't really fit the stereotype. Yeah. And then speaking of all game, when I played for And One UK, I was given the name All Game because, again, that was all-around game. So like passing, shooting, handle, flash, flare, etc., etc. So, well, there's been a few, man. There's been a few, yeah.
What would you say has been your favourite? What would you say has been your favourite?
I like the teacher. I do like the teacher. Caucasian Sensation is a bit of a mouthful, but that one's pretty cool.
It rolls off the tongue very well.
I know, right? Yeah, that one's all right. But the teacher's short and sharp and pretty good. Another one, actually, I do like. There's some guys at Turnpike Lane that call me Sensei. Exactly. Like, you knew what I was going to do. So when I walk into the park, they're like, oh, T's here, and our Sensei's here. And like, they walk up and we go like this, and then we both stand and go like this. The next guy will come, we'll go like that, and then we go like this. It's like there's a few of them. So Sensei, I actually really like Sensei because my background is actually martial arts.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, man, I used to love martial arts. got a black belt when I was a junior. Won a few trophies and stuff in karate, if anyone's interested. Yeah, karate. So it's funny that that's kind of come 25, 30 years round.
Wow.
And dudes are calling me sensei on the basketball court. It's pretty cool.
That's awesome. So not only do you get to kick ass in, in the MMA world, you get to kick ass on the courts.
Yeah. That was
So
my life.
I guess the teacher kind of fits now. I mean, no one gets any younger, and you get to pass down all of your amazing knowledge and skills down to the younger generation, which is quite cool to be known as kind of the god of freestyle here in the UK, kind of.
Well, if I'm honest, I wouldn't say that. I would say, me personally, Andrew Wilding is he's the greatest freestyler I think this country's ever seen. We've got to mention Tommy Baker from back in the day. If anybody knows who Tommy Baker is, they can research him. But Andrew Wilding, he has just kind of overtaken Tommy Baker, and he's amazing at freestyle. Now, when it comes to street ball, now that's kind of my thing. So I would say I'm more of a basketball street baller than I am a freestyler. Freestyling was almost like, I don't want to say a mistake, because then that it was almost like I'm shunning freestyle, I'm looking down my nose at freestyle. But I didn't really take it seriously, and I just used to do it goofing around at the park and just in between games. And I think a big inspiration for me was the Nike advert, the Nike freestyle advert.
Yeah.
So that type of thing, that type of scene was really big back in the day when I was growing up. So that had a big influence on me. But deep down, I've always been a basketball player, street ball player, freestyler. So that's kind of the last thing.
So bringing it back to the sort of the lockdown, have you managed to pick any? Obviously you had the hoop, you've had to run around after a toddler. Have you picked up any new hobbies? Have you found yourself watching In the Night Garden of an evening?
You know what? As you get older, and it sounds really stupid, but I've had this conversation with a couple of my friends. Back in the day when you're younger and you're cool and you going to a garden center would be the last thing you ever wanted to do. But now I'm a homeowner and I've got a kid. I'm like, oh, garden centers are lovely. A bit of gardening. Let me sort the hedge out. And there's a big part of lockdown where I was just Mr. Gardener.
That's another nickname.
Yeah, the gardener. Yeah. So I mean, it's not a hobby, but it had to be done, and there was no better time to do it. So, yeah, man. And other than growing my hair and my beard, like a lot of people did in lockdown, this is new. This is new. Before, I mean, 2 or 3 weeks ago, I looked like a castaway slash homeless person. There's photos on Instagram. I look a mess.
Oh, the shots of your beard chop
before and after.
that is amazing. I mean, you could have gone to the garden centre to get a hedge trimmer for your beard.
That's good. Yeah, I think I needed an industrial one because it was a mess.
I mean, it's better than what I could do. This is the longest I've ever grown it, and you still can't. You can barely see it on the camera. So, props to you for growing that out. Speaking of, oops, sorry, go ahead.
Let me just say, one of my good friends back home, he was like, I don't get it, Taran. So for 30 years, you've shaven your head on a 1 when I could have grown a full head of hair. And then when you're receding and going bald, etc., that's when you decide to grow your hair. It makes no sense. And I was like, it's lockdown, I'm going to experiment. So yeah, but he's right. I mean, I'm good. It's going, but hey, I'm experimenting, man. It'll come off soon.
I was just saying, how long before you just that's it, I'm getting the clippers?
Yeah, I think, it's going to be soon. Probably when I go back to school, to my job. So it's maintaining, it's a lot of maintenance and faffing around, blending it in and all this crap, when I can just go, number one, shape it up myself. Going to the barbers, that's long and expensive.
Mm.
So yeah, forget that.
Speaking of beards and very beardy men and very potentially tall men, you are friends with someone that's been on this channel before, David Watts, also known as
Yes.
Tintin, which is also a very nice nickname for a guest on this channel. So, how did you guys meet and become friends?
Well, I saw him years and years ago when I played for Sheffield Arrows in Division 1. He actually came for a tryout, and I remember him being 19 and coming down to England Institute of Sport in Sheffield. And I always remember him on a fast break in a training game, going between the legs and going between the legs and trying to bang it. He missed. I just remember being on the side going, oh my God, like I'd never seen it in real life, anything like that. This was the time when Isaiah Ryder, if anyone is old enough to remember Isaiah Ryder, he did it between the legs. Oh, Kobe did it in his rookie year, didn't he, in All-Star game, I think. And I've never seen it in real life. And this guy just comes down in the middle of a game and just goes between the legs. And yeah, we were all flabbergasted. And then he came down a few times, and then I actually don't know what happened. I think he might have gone to Manchester, or I'm not actually sure. And then a few years later, I with Doncaster, because I have a strong connection with Doncaster. I used to go to France every year with Doncaster to play in a tournament in France, like an international tournament. And one year, Tintin had been invited with his brother actually. So it was those two, myself, and a few other guys on that team. It was a very, very stacked team. And then we've been friends ever since. He's a very, very funny guy, and we're very, very silly. Like, our sense of humor is really stupid, and we appreciate each other's humor, and so we get on very well. Yeah, man, he's a good guy. He's a great guy.
Yeah, he's a great guy. I mean, he's got a lot of great stories as well. I talked to him a lot off camera. He's great. I mean, he referred me to to speak with you, and like, I mean, I already had heard of who you were, and I was like, you know what? Yeah, let's sort this out. So here we are, present day, with the teacher trying to teach me some. I mean, by the end of this, I'm hoping that I'll be able to spin it on my finger at least. I've got the
conversation.
Yeah, just so. Have you managed to catch any of the NBA return at the moment, or have you kind of just like winging it?
I've watched bits. I don't know if a lot of people watch full games anymore. I don't know, but I watch the highlights. Damian Lillard, man, I love that guy. Like, he is great. He doesn't really say too much, but whenever he does speak, he talks sense. Yeah. And then he backs it up a lot of the time. Like, he's great. He really is great.
Yeah, Dame is great. I love him.
Luka, sorry to interrupt, but I just had a flashback of Luka's game the other night. I don't think it was a playoff game though. It was a game beforehand.
Yeah.
He just makes it look easy, and he doesn't even move fast. Like he's good, man. He's so good. The way he uses his body and just smashes into people, and then just like lays it in like with all the time in the world. Like, he's great. He really is good. What is he, 21?
I think he's early 20s. If he's the same age as me, I've got to make some serious life choices.
There you go. When you put it out there and you say it, 21, it's nuts.
No, like, Zion's 19. Ja Morant's coming through. I even do that with football sometimes. I was watching the World Cup and Kylian Mbappe was scoring in the World Cup final. I'm like, he would be in the same year as me at school, and I'm sat here watching him earn millions of pounds. It's ridiculous, but we move on and do the best that we can.
Do some gardening.
Head to the garden centre. Trip to IKEA on the way.
It's funny, I was at IKEA today. Oh God!
Did you get lost?
The grown-up life is long, man.
How long does it take you to do a full IKEA shop?
I just was in and out because I knew what I was going for, so it was just quick, in and out, nothing long.
I mean, even if you know what you want to get in an IKEA shop, you've still got to try and find it in the shop.
Yeah, so, luckily, I've been that many times. I knew where it was, and I know the shortcuts. You can whiz through the shortcuts. So it was all good.
I think I've been to IKEA once, and I had a headache going around it because I just thought, where is everything? I can't. No, there's people everywhere. There's wood everywhere. There's little mini chairs. Kids jumping on beds. It's a minefield.
It is. Yeah, it's stressful.
So coming back to the NBA return, who do you see potentially going and winning it all?
Boy, I don't know, man. I like the Blazers because I really like CJ McCollum's game. Yeah. So obviously you've got those two, and now what's the guy? Is he Gary Trent Jr.?
Yes.
Is his name? So he's coming alive. Nurkic is playing well. Like they're nice, man. They're hard to guard. So yeah, I'm kind of rooting for them, especially through everything that they've been through. So they're kind of an underdog. So yeah, I like them. Who else? I do like the Clippers. They've got Kawhi, Lou Williams. I love Lou Williams, man. That guy's so good. Like, yeah.
Handles unreal.
That's the thing. I like. You notice I've just said kind of CJ, Damian, Lou Williams. I like players with a bit of flash and flair, and I like that stuff.
I mean, those players are probably going to, crop up in a segment that I'm going to bring up in a little while. But I mean, I've been talking, quite a bit on this like sort of podcast that, it's like, those that you style your play after, you kind of gravitate more towards. Like with the rookies coming in, I gravitated more towards Ja Morant, where a lot of people were like, "Oh, Zion." But
you play like Ja, yeah?
Well, I wish I could get up like that, man. But no, like you sort of like, you want to try and be like those players. Like,
Exactly.
I'm a massive fan of Dwayne Wade, so I like to, I love his style of play. Obviously, I can't reach the rim, so I can't completely do Dwayne Wade. But I mean, like some of you, like who would you say like some of your like idols that kind of influence your kind of street ball style?
Well, first and foremost, I mean, it's not street ball or anything like that, but Michael Jordan for me was like everything. Like I had Jordan Playground, which, if you're familiar with it was a VHS, a video cassette, children. A VHS, Jordan's Playground. I used to watch that every day, man. Like, I'd come home from school, bang, just play, rewind, play, rewind. Little moves, little like intricacies, footwork, just everything, and then log it in, go to the park, and just try and emulate that. So Jordan was a big, and just the way he is as like a competitor. There's a little section in there where it's talking about New York, how he didn't back down, kind of never give up attitude. There's a lot of things from that video that really stuck with me. And then obviously I've watched all of them, Come Fly With Me, Airtime, all those stuff, all those things. But the reason I wear number 7 is because of Kenny Anderson. So he's a New York point guard. And he's very flashy. So, I mean, I always kind of gravitate to New York style of play because New York is a bit gritty. It's very street ball orientated. They're known for ball handlers. That style of hip hop, the way they dress, that's kind of how I was, I don't know, in the past. So I like those kind of ballers. And I saw a thing on Kenny Anderson and I saw him take that street ball flavor. He was the first player that I saw take that street ball flavor and put it into the NBA, and like behind the back. And there's a little clip where he's in college and he's coming down on a fast break. I think he goes between the legs, behind the back, and then into a floater. And it's really, and I was just like, man, that's so sick. And then I just used to spend hours just like dribbling behind my back. So that's the reason I wear number 7. Not a lot of people know that actually. Awesome. But then I used to love players like Nick Van Exel, because again, he's herky-jerky and hazies and like he's handles all over the place. I love that guy. Baron Davis. Oh my God. Mahmoud Abdul Rauf, aka Chris Jackson. I used to love the way he plays stop and pop, like just dribble pull up. Nowadays, a lot of it is catch and shoot, with the exception of like Damian Lillard and a few others. But so shooting wise, was Mahmoud Abdul-Rauf, and Alan Houston from New York Knicks back in the day. He had a beautiful pull-up. So there's a few, but it's generally flashy players. Jason Williams, White Chocolate. My mind goes, Rod Strickland. I'm going way back. A lot of these young people watching this will be like, who's he on about? Google this guy. Who? Rod Strickland. Like, yeah, man. You're going to have to Google it. You're going to have to Google these guys. Jamal Crawford.
Oh, that's a more like kind of recent one that a lot of people will be more in tune with.
You see it recent. The man's 100.
He doesn't look it though. He doesn't look it.
So this is why I like him. Because I'm 43 and I'm still I still play with handle and all that kind of similar, a very, very bootleg poor man's version of Jamal Crawford. I would say I am. Yeah, B-Tech Jamal Crawford.
You mentioned, one of your kind of signature moves, the hesitation. Is that sort of your like go-to? I know that when you were doing the the 3v3 tournaments, a lot of people would bite on those. So is that kind of like a really easy, like is it an easy move to pull off, but then also it's kind of very effective for you to sort of take advantage of?
So a lot of these kids are working on a hezi, but their jump shot's terrible.
Yeah.
So it only works if you've got a good jumper. If you've got a good dribble pull-up, then the next time I dribble, so if I dribble left and pull up with certain footwork, correct footwork, inside foot, down fast, plant, pull up, plant, pull up. The next time I go that way, I'm going to go plant, and I'm going to bring my hands to the ball, and just before they touch the ball, I'm going to go. But if your shot's terrible, and you haven't hit a shot, the hezi's not going to work. So a lot of these kids are just like, teach me the hezi, and I'm like, well, you need to get a jump shot first. Let's take it in stages. Like, let's work on your jumper first. So, but that is one of my go-to moves. I mean, without sounding cocky, I have a lot of moves in different areas of the floor. I'm sure a lot of players do. Like, so if I'm on the left-hand side, I have this array of moves. These, this is in the bag. If I'm on the right hand side, then it's a different set of moves, but they are like premeditated moves, setups. And then obviously you can read and react. So, obviously if I try to move and I get cut off, then you read and react and, go with your instincts. But yeah, I do have a lot of set moves. I have another move that where I go left. I generally going towards the baseline with my left hand, and then I kind of go behind my back with my right hand and carry on going the same way as I was going. So the professor does it. Now, I've been doing this move before the professor, and it really irritates me when I do the move and people are like, oh, you got that from the professor. I'm thinking, dude, I was doing that way before. I was doing that before the professor was on the scene. But yeah, and they're calling that the professor move, and it breaks my heart. But
you should have trademarked it first.
Yeah. Well, I actually had a name for it. I called it the freeze frame, but obviously I haven't got 1 million subscribers on YouTube or whatever, so I'm just a nobody. So I can't. No, that name's not going to stick, is it? You know what I mean? But that's another move, and then I have a counter. So if they cut me off, spin move into a teardrop. So yeah, like Kobe said, I think he said he had 5 moves. He really only had 5 moves. But then off of those 5 moves, you have X, Y, and Z, counters, basically. So it's the same thing. I have moves and then counters.
Yeah, I mean, that's kind of like you have to adapt on the fly, and like that's kind of the difference between a great player and an average player. So it's the adaptability of a player, really. So one move I've come across while seeing your clips it's a very interesting move, and it gets people a lot of the time, and I think it just needs baggy shorts for this to work and very slight hands. So what you do, so you kind of like spin round, put the ball in your shorts, twist around, and like throw it as if you've thrown it, but then the opposition are like, where's the ball gone? And it's in your shorts. How do you pull that off? How do you even think of it?
I mean, that's an old move, man. That's from 20, That's from 20 years ago, man. Now, I think it's called the See No Evil. And yeah, you cuff it in here and you get the defender real close, and he's obviously low in a defensive stance. So you cuff the ball, you go over their head, and as you've gone past, you quickly tuck it in your shorts, but no pause. So you spin all around, and then you go really close to them again, and then you pretend to throw it again, and you leave your arm there. And then they're thinking, oh, he's definitely thrown it to someone. So then they're looking around going, where's the flipping ball? And there's one clip, actually, I played in Addy Slam, where I do the move. There's loads of people watching, like loads of really good ballers. There's a real big crowd at the Brentwood Centre. And I do the move. Now, we get given kit. So it's not kit that I've worn before. So I didn't know just how baggy the shorts were or how not so baggy the shorts were. So everything's going well. I've pulled off some moves. I've thrown some alley-oops. I'm thinking, you know what? This is the perfect environment to do this move. So I do it now. It goes in my shorts, and everyone's going nuts. It's like, oh, the guy on the mic's going mad. Everyone's going, yeah. But the problem is, I couldn't retrieve the ball. So normally, you pull it out the bottom of the shorts, all right? So, and it just pops out, and then you just throw it in the crowd and walk off like a bad man or whatever, or just like throw it to a teammate or whatever. But I'm there, and I'm like tugging at this ball. I'm thinking, please, please, please come out, come out, come out, come out. And it wouldn't come out. And I had to like go in the waistband and pull it out, and it just looks a bit off key and just like, yeah, man. And the guy on the mic's like, oh, if you're going to do it, you got to do it properly. And I was like, yeah, cheers, mate. Thanks. Not in my don't, yeah. But that's a good move. So that was a blooper. But I have done it before where I've gone round, it's gone in my shorts. And then as I turned around, my shorts were that baggy back then. But it came out the bottom of my shorts and went between the defender's legs. And then I just ran round him and laid it in.
Oh.
Sick. But yeah, more footage that got lost.
How many?
I had that on camera. But
how many clips did you used to just take a camera down the court anytime that you could?
No,
really?
That's why there's not a lot of footage. I've been playing this summer is my 29th year, so nearly 30 years, and I've hardly got any footage, man. I've hardly got any footage, and this is gonna sound like bullshit, but I also felt bad. Like it sounds crazy, but I didn't want to go to the outdoor court, set up a tripod, and then put a camera there and be like, okay, guys, I'm going to film myself killing you lot. Like, I don't know, it just didn't really sit with me very well. But yeah, and yeah, but now I think I'm going to start doing that a lot more because I don't care.
Yeah.
Well, more because I think I didn't do it a lot back in the day, and I really, really, really regret it. And I've still got the ability to play at a kind of decent level with some flash and flair. So I think I may as well do it before the wheels fall off me, you know? Do you know what I mean? So I've only got probably a few more years left before, I start being all decrepit and can't play.
I think an idea for a type of video, you can take this and run with it, right? So this involves going and buying some clothes. You need a sweater vest, a polo shirt, some chinos, and you've got to walk up like, you're picking up someone's kid, and you're like, oh, can I play? Looking like you're a dad, and then you go and school them, and you walk away. It's like, I've got to go pick up my kid now.
Sounds good, mate. Sounds good.
I think that's a hit. That's a hit right there.
No, sounds good. Well, the hair's going and the beard's going grey, so I wouldn't need any makeup up top. I just need the clothing, and I'll be fine. It's
kind of like Kyrie's Uncle Drew, but just kind of just dress up as just dress up as like your dad would, pretty much.
Yeah, that sounds good. That's the plan.
So sometimes on these interviews, I like to take it back to basically where it all began. So what are you've mentioned the VHSs, going back and watching Michael Jordan. What is your earliest memory of, say, maybe picking up a basketball for the first time, or even just getting hooked on basketball?
Okay, so I was thinking about this the other day. Now no one knows this. So I was at my friend's house. So like most British kids, it was football all the time, in the park, playing football whenever I could. And I remember being at my friend's house, and switches on the telly, and there was some basketball on there. Now, I'd never even heard the word basketball. Like, I'd never even seen it or anything. But I remember just sitting there looking at it going, this is sick. Like, I've never seen this, but this looks cool. And then he locked it off and turned it over to some crap, right? Or we had to go or something like that. But I just remember watching it for like 1 minute and thinking, that's cool. And then I never saw it again. Fast forward to, I don't know, 2 or 3 years later, and then we're in PE at school, and it was like, today kids were doing basketball. And then I just fell in love with it straight away. Like, because I've been trying to control control a ball with my feet all my life. All of a sudden, I'm allowed to control the ball with my hands. Like, it felt easy, and I don't know why, but I was just really good at dribbling straight away. And I just remember just being able to whiz past everyone, and it was just easy. The dribbling part was easy. And then I get to the rim and just go, oh! Obviously that's going to happen, but the dribbling came, that was kind of second nature. And then everything kind of else fell into place. PE teacher was like, oh, wow, you're pretty good. You should go and play. There was no junior teams in Hull. I'm from Hull, by the way. We haven't actually said that on here. I'm from Hull. Well, I'm actually from Coventry. So I was born in Coventry. So my mum's Scottish. The Scottish family moved down to Coventry. I was born in Cov. And then when I was like, I don't know, 6, moved to Hull, was raised there. And I've been in London for 16 years. So that's the little backstory there. So no youth teams in Hull. And he's like, oh, there's a men's team over at the college. I think you should go and ask if you can join in and just hang out with those guys and see how you get on. So I went there. It's called Wyke College, for those people that know where that is. So I went to Wyke. Wasn't shy. Was never shy about trying to get involved. Because I used to go to my mum. I remember my mum just saying to me back in the day, there's a park over there, go and make some friends. And I was like, how do I do that? And she was like, if you see kids kicking a football, go over, say, can I join in? And then it's fine. But I used to do that with the fellas. When I got a little bit older, I did that with the fellas, maybe at 14, 15. So I went to this session, just opened the thing. I just said, oh, who's the organizer? I am. Can I join in? Yeah. And I just joined in, and I was actually holding my own against this guy. There's a funny story about this, actually. There was one guy in there. Well, after a few times of going, when I built up my confidence, a couple of my mates went, and there was one guy in there, like a middle-aged fella, and he decided to wear a bin bag. So he cut a hole in this bin bag, and he tucked it into his shorts, and he's just running around in a bin bag. And I've always been a cheeky chappy, and so the whole night I just called him Russell. Because he's rustling every time he's running. He's just rustling. So I was like, who's got Russell? Russell this and Russell that. And oh, God. Yeah. So although I mocked this guy, they let me play for the team. And it was looking back, they were terrible. So played with them. And then someone said to me, look, you need to play for a National League team. So I researched where the closest one was. And that was Doncaster, which is a complete other city. So somehow, I don't even know in that day and age, because there's no internet, there's no like email or anything like that back then. So somehow got the coach's number, called him up, and I was like, oh hi, I'm from Hull, and I've been told that I'm pretty good and I should play National League Juniors, and I heard you got a team, can I play? First words, are you a 6'9" lamppost? I was like, pardon? Are you a 6'9" lamppost? I was like, no, I'm like 6'2". He's like, I'm joking. Yeah, come, it'll be fine. And so I jumped on the train one night and tried out. And I always remember at the end of the training session, I said to this guy that I met, I was like, oh, do you think I'll make the team? Do you think I'll make the team? He's like, make the team, you'll probably end up being captain. And I ended up being captain. And then, so I played for Doncaster Panthers juniors for 3 years, maybe, was captain. And then progressed onto the Budweiser League team, not even BBL. Budweiser League. BBL was Budweiser League back then. And so I played for the Budweiser League team for maybe only a year or so. And that's when I realized that BBL wasn't for me. That's when I realized that the BBL didn't have enough money, and a lot of the budget that they do have goes to the Americans. And then the British guys are treated like crap, basically. And I just realized, I just thought, yeah, this isn't for me. Yeah, I mean, and then I was supposed to do my senior year of high school in Toledo, Ohio. And there was a family that was going to look after me. They said, all right, yeah, we'll take him in. He can stay with us, do his senior year of high school. And then sent all my details and stuff over there, everything. And I was just too old. And then that fell through. And then the heartbreaking thing is, there was a guy younger than me in the team. And I kind of lost contact with him. And then a postcard comes through my door. Oh, this is nice, Toledo, Ohio, and it looks beautiful. Turn it over, and it was the guy that was a year younger than me, and I was like, me, yeah, but it is what it is. Yeah. So that's a bit of a backstory for you. That's the early beginnings.
I can't get over Russell.
Great.
Poor Russell's, maybe watching this video is like, that was me, that was.
Yeah, mocked by a 15-year-old. Cheeky kid.
Missed opportunity to call him trash. There we go. Yeah,
that would have been good. I probably, knowing me back then, like if he'd have missed a shot or something, I'd have been like, that was rubbish.
Just like, I see that, yeah, there we go.
I'd have been like that, trust me, back in the day.
So, I mean, you bring up a very interesting topic with the BBL, we've talked kind of with it with your close friend David, and it is a very big talking point. The British stars that do come through and want to play in the BBL don't get as much shine as the American guys. Why do you think that is? Do you think just kind of like a hypothesis or sort of like I don't know how to put it, like just an idea of why?
Because I think for the general public, there's a fascination with, athletic Americans that come over here. They're from America. Oh my God. We watch Americans on the TV all the time. Do you know what I mean? Like it sounds too simple, but I think that's a big part of it. And at one point I thought to myself, you know what? If I went to a team and I put on a fake American accent, like I might do better than if I just went, hey up, I'm here to try out. Give us a chance. They'd be like, sod off. But if I went in there and was like, what's up? I'm from New York or whatever, they'd be like, oh yeah, well, do you know what I mean? Like, it's as simple as that. And so fans gravitate to them more. They want their autographs more. They want to see them more. They want to interact with them more. And a lot of the time, let's be honest, they are better because there's just a massive pool to choose from. So yeah, it's difficult.
I mean, do you see like those Americans that have come over but also have spent quite a bit of time here? Do you think that they've kind of earned that at that point? I mean, a guy potentially like Mike Tuck or a Daniel Edozie, do you think that at this point they've kind of earned that respect?
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah.
But I think there's guys there's a lot of Americans that come over here and they go, oh, English speaking country, not that great level. Let me come over here for a year, get my numbers up, and then I'm going to bounce. That's literally all they come for. Now they're the ones that are irritating and that don't help the game at all. And they literally just do it because of that. English speaking, get their stats up, bounce. Don't even want to help the community. Some of them, not all of them, but there's a lot of stories that I've heard where they don't even want to go in the community, coach kids, put on clinics. They're just thinking, yo, I'm gonna ride this out for 8 months. I'm gonna ride this out for 8 months and I'm gonna bounce. That's it. That's not fair.
No, it's not. And like in the UK, there's not a lot of culture there for basketball. As we've mentioned, football is where a lot of people do gravitate towards. But when you do get those young kids playing basketball, like I'd always we had a high school team. We'd always scrimmage, and we all shared the same love for it. And when those kids do come in through, they do have they have to get part-time jobs to even maintain themselves to try and play either professionally or even semi-pro at that. Like, what do you think could improve either within the basketball system or even through the schools system or anything like that to try and help basketball become more of a marketable sport here in the UK?
A big one's TV. Because back in the day, when I was growing up, there was Channel 4 used to play a lot of basketball. Excuse me. And they basically, there was one thing called 24/7, and it had Scoop Jackson was one of the presenters. Now he's from New York. He's a writer for Slam magazine. Now he knew his stuff, and it was just great. Like, they just used to delve into the sneaker culture, the hip hop culture, the clothing, and then the basketball as well. And they used to recap the games and all this stuff. And I think at one point they maybe even did play some games which were condensed down. And that really, really got a lot of interest in basketball. And I could see in front of my eyes that basketball really, really was at a certain level, certain interest. And then they had Converse NBA 3-on-3s in car parks, which were massive. Adidas streetball tournaments, which were massive. And Channel 4 were at these things, they were there. And then when it came off TV, basketball just went straight back down. And I remember speaking to older guys who said that back in the 80s when it was on TV, basketball was up here. And then it got taken off TV, it fell off. Then it came back in the 90s, it was really interesting, everyone was interested again, and it fell off. So that's a big deal. I think that is a big deal.
Yeah, and I think right now, the playoffs are coming back. Sky Sports are hosting, and the BT Sport I think might have a deal with the NBA to show them. I mean, back in the day, I'm pretty sure the BBL had some sort of TV deal as well. So would you see that would be potentially good for that sort of instead of having to rely on ticket sales and merchandise, having something to fall back on so they can establish more British guys and sort of have British guys as their main focus and sort of pay them better to sort of encourage more British kids to be I want to play basketball.
Yeah, no, I think that's a great idea. It needs to be also these British players need to be going into schools early, getting it. Like I said, I hadn't even touched a basketball. I mean, I'd seen that 1-minute clip on my friend's TV, but other than that, I didn't know anything about basketball. And it was football, because it was pumped into me. It was on the TV. There was Italian football on Sundays, every Sunday that I used to get up and watch. And then I got introduced to it in PE, and then boom, I was hooked. Now I've been coaching. I was coaching last week at camp, a basketball camp at my school, and this kid's coming out with stats and talking about goaltending and taking charges and blocking fouls. This kid's 11, and I'm like, how do you know all this stuff? He's like, I'm just really into basketball. 2K helps a lot. Back before, I used to be you shouldn't be playing those games, blah, blah. But they actually can learn quite a lot from that game. So he was like, nah, I just love basketball. I love it, man. And I was like, and now this kid's year 7 going into year 8. I was like, did you know about basketball? Did you play basketball before you came to this school? And he was like, no, it's because I met you.
Oh, wow.
I was like, oh my God. Because sometimes as a coach, I think you forget just how important we are sometimes and how influential we are and stuff like that. So this kid's basically telling me he didn't even know what basketball was until he came to my school and I said, let's play basketball. And now the kid's hooked. He's hooked. He wants to play. He wants to be a basketball player. And that's just one kid I was speaking to. I think if I spoke to all my kids and said, listen, did you know about basketball before you even came to this school? I think a lot of them would say no. So we need more of these BBL players going in there and just getting these kids hooked from an early age, and they'll fall in love with it and go from there.
There's going to be some kid in the NBA draft in like 2035.
I know what you're gonna say.
It's like, oh, so how did you get into basketball? Well, I got into this school. The teacher told me everything. Taran, shout out to Taran.
And that'd be great, mate. That'd be fantastic if that happened.
That's how you earn your living from then on. So another way that I think that basketball culture could potentially, I mean, especially with like British basketball in general, like, elevating. I know that there's big events are something it's easy to sell tickets for, especially if it's held in like a venue. I mean, like the BBL Cup final this year, like, a lot of casuals went to that. Do you think? Like, I mean, there's also the Mike Tuck testimonial that was going to go on. Do you think like a potential All-Star, like maybe week or like day, could hype up interest a bit, like a yearly All-Star weekend where you got the 3-point contest, a dunk contest, a cameo from Taran, and then the All-Star game at the end?
I think so, because again, it's he's showing a different side to the game that we have, and it's like getting kids engaged and seeing a different side of basketball. If they're just seeing a regular game all the time, regularly, that's fantastic. But then if they get to see their 3-point contests and dunk contests and an all-star game where it's a bit more flashy and more dunks, and then kids are going to be like, wow, this is mind-blowing. And it helps with tournaments like Ball Out. I know I mentioned Ball Out 3-on-3 earlier on, but I truly believe that tournaments like that really help, because I've played in them since I was a kid. Like I mentioned earlier, Converse NBA 3-on-3, Adidas Streetball. I remember living in Hull, and there was a tournament. Older heads are going to know this. Nike Summer Hoops 1997. There was a massive tournament at Battersea Park in South London, and me and my boys jumped in the car, drove down from Hull, stayed at a friend's, and then we played in that tournament. And that is one of the greatest memories that I have. One of my greatest basketball memories. Like, it was a beautiful day. There was hip hop playing. It was packed. Oh. There was dunk contest. I was so sick. And then it gives you something to look forward to. So I know that kids are thinking about Ball Out next summer already. I know I am.
Yeah.
And I'm an old geezer. Like, these kids are looking forward. So back in the day, I used to look forward to all these tournaments. Any little tournament that I could play in, I would go to. I'll try to go to. I'll jump in the car. I'll travel here. My mum would take me in the car, and it's something to work towards. So I think stuff like that popping up left, right, and centre is really, really good, and it will help grow the game. And they get to see a different side. 3-on-3 basketball. There's a lot more spacing. You can be more creative. So generally, kids really, really gravitate towards that.
Definitely. And with sort of like a huge weekend, or not even a weekend, just a huge event, one day in a stadium or like an arena, maybe like, one in like middle ground type, maybe like Birmingham or even down in London, like an O2 event, and have the court, maybe even like have, kids pay to go on and shoot on the floor or something.
Have a massive clinics beforehand.
Yeah, absolutely. That would be amazing. And yeah. Would you think that, some maybe Sky Sports or BBC would probably get on that and maybe host that on television and be like, oh, look, there's dunks, there's 3-pointers, and sort of elevate again the way of British basketball to try and be like, hey, this is really cool.
Well, you would hope so, and you would think so, but it's tough. I don't know why these money men are not interested in such an amazing game, such a flashy, like, entertaining game. I just don't get it. I don't get it, man.
It's weird because like basketball was so entertaining. Like, the first moment I saw Dwayne Wade in 2006 in the playoffs going absolutely ham was like, yeah, I'm hooked. And ever since then, I've like, basketball is arguably better to watch as like someone that's coming into a sport. You want to introduce them into basketball, because football, you can have a 0-0, you snooze off, it's boring.
And you can't play by yourself.
Exactly.
Try playing football by yourself. Good one. You do kick-ups and then you get bored.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Basketball, you don't even need a hoop. You can just dribble. You can just do madness, like dribbling, all different stuff. Then you could evolve into freestyling. You can do anything. Throw it against a wall. Football is pretty tricky, you know.
Yeah.
And going back to you saying you fell in love with the game after seeing Dwayne Wade, there's loads of people that I've met who have never ever watched basketball in their life, and then they'll, I don't know, maybe go down to the Copper Box with me and watch a London Lions game, or I'll invite them to maybe a charity game that I've played somewhere, and then they'll come to me afterwards and be like, do you know what, I've never watched basketball before, but it's amazing, like it's so quick and blah, blah. They all say the same thing. It's amazing, it's entertaining, I can't believe how quick it is. And I'm like, I know, we just money, man.
Genuinely, I've got a similar story. It was I went to, the first time I came to Worcester, I was like, oh, it's the Worcester Wolves. So I was put into because we were put into halls at university. I was put into halls with all girls and a foreign exchange student lad who was never around. That's where I met my missus. So we all it was me and these three girls. So we went and bought it. And I was like, you know what, you're all gonna love it. And they all came out and be like, I'd come back and watch that again. Like everybody, like none of them like sport. Like my missus actively hates football because it's boring, and she loves back. Like they're all chanting like defense. I was like, yes, this is what we want. But again, it's the money. Like the money's not there. Like people, like teams have to rely on ticket sales and merchandise rather than advertisements. I mean, do you think that marketability is also a factor that sort of is a problem with the British game as well?
Yeah, I think it could be marketed better. You don't see enough of it being pushed out there. I regret to say I'm on social media more often than I should be, but I'm not seeing loads of stuff like BBL this and BBL that, and you know what I mean? Like it should be there, it should be in my face, but it's not as much as I think it should be. It's there, but not enough.
Some of the admins on Twitter, I know the Surrey Scorchers admin, the Bristol Flyers one, they're all fantastic. Like the work that I think it was it was the Scorchers one. They invaded the live stream on YouTube. I think it was the Lakers. I can't remember which game it was. It was one of the games live stream on YouTube. And it was like the hashtag BBL takeover, and it was trying to get all the British fans that were watching the stream to look, come towards the BBL. And by the time that everyone had finished, I mean, I was in there as well promoting. Everybody in there was talking about the BBL. So it's a smart way to do it. And the Scorchers, Scorchers, shout out to the Scorchers marketing team because they're fantastic
and they're funny.
They are very funny.
Funny.
I think we need more social media admin like them. They're great.
I agree because a lot of social media, when they're being professional, you just kind of bypass it and you go, oh, another boring fact or another, like you just scroll past it. But when it's actually funny and it makes you chuckle, you're like, yeah. Like in my mind right now, I can see Tayo Ogundengbe or Tayo Ogundengbe like, pulling that funny face and with the writing underneath it. Something about Lions Super Team. Yeah. They're gonna win everything, Lions Super Team or whatever, and then it's funny, man. That actually stopped. What I'm saying is that stopped me in my tracks, made me laugh, and now I have that image of him like with that funny face in my head, and that's obviously great because I'm remembering Surrey Scorchers now. They're funny. Those guys are funny. Their media's doing a good job, man.
I think I need to pull a few strings down in Worcester because I'll be working with them closely this year. So I have a few ideas. So everyone stay tuned to the Worcester Wolves. The social media because I'll be working pretty hard to try and get some entertaining content. I've got a lot of ideas. So I like to move into a segment that I've done now, and I've hinted toward this on Instagram. I'm going to announce something very soon to do with this segment, and this is Team Tarryn, right? So I've done interviews previously with Lewis Champion, Raphael Thomas Edwards, and Ali Fuller. They have all given me starting fives. They obviously play different positions. You are going to play point guard. Obviously, with your handles, you play like Allen Iverson, Kyrie Irving, all of those players. So you're going to start at the point guard. I would like you to name me a shooting guard, a small forward, a power forward, a center, and lastly, a coach. And I want you to all give me reasons as to why you would put them in the team.
God. This is really annoying because if I pick someone else is gonna get annoyed.
They can be.
My feelings are hurt.
They can be, either close friends or like BBL, or they can be NBA as well. That's the rule. They can be any player ever.
Okay, so I'm the point guard. So shooting guard would be
hard choice.
Can I give maybe a couple of it for each? Or
you can. Okay. I think give a solid one, because there is a. I have got some plans for these teams that are being mentioned. I'm not going to give it all away just yet. But for those watching, stay tuned to my Instagram. It's in the description for some big things with these teams that are going to be happening. So maybe give like the first one and then some honorable mentions for each one.
Okay, so I might have to shift over to shooting because I'm actually a combo guard.
Okay.
So if there's a really good point guard, then I'll shift over.
All right.
But if he's not doing a great job, then I'll go point. Anyway.
We'll start you at the two then.
Yeah, so but then I need someone to. Anyway, so when I played for Sheffield, there was a guy called Ryan Patton.
Okay.
Now, he's like 5'9", little white guy, unathletic. Not to be rude, but he just looked like a geography teacher, and he was buckets, like buckets. You see how Steph used to shoot a three, or he still does, shoots a three and then just runs off before it's actually gone in. Ryan Patton was doing that 15 years ago, bro. But regularly. I think, I can't remember. At one point, he was leading the league in everything apart from big man stats, like field goal percentage, points, free throws, like every stat you could think of for a little man. I think he was leading the league in it. Ryan Patton, he's unbelievably good, so good. So yeah, he would be the point. I guess if I have to play, I'll be the shooting guard. But another teammate from Sheffield Arrows is a guy called Jamie Davidson. Really, really good player, but an even better teammate. He's from Australia. I've got a funny story about him, actually. So he's Scottish. So he's got a Scottish family, but he moved over to Australia when he was a kid. And I remember being on the minibus. Now, I knew about the Scottish heritage and this and that. And he's got a Scottish tattoo on his leg and this. But he's got a broad like a full-on Australian accent, like Neighbours and Home and Away, like proper full-on. Then we're in the minibus, and he gets a phone call, and he's at the back, and we're all chatting about a game or whatever, and he's like, "All right, Hen, how you doing?" And like just starts chatting in broad Scottish, which like obviously I've got a Scottish family, so I'm used to hearing a Glaswegian accent, and I'm like, "What the?" Like, what? And so he's having this, he's like, hang on. He's having this full-on conversation in a broad Scottish accent, puts the phone down, and then just carries on chatting in Australian, like an Australian accent. I'm like, oh, my mind was frazzled. But yeah, that's a funny memory of him. But he's an unbelievable teammate, like a really, really, really good teammate, really good guy, tough as nails, smart, can shoot. Like, he's good, man. So he'd be up there. Boy,
it's hard.
So a player that I saw back in the day, I put him at a 3. Even though he was 6'9", but he could run, jump, shoot, bit of handle. He's called Jimmy Ratliff. So I played with him in Doncaster Panthers back, like I said, in the Budweiser League, BBL. And I think he played at Ohio State. And that's like a big time school. And he was 6'9", and he was good, man.
A 6'9" lamppost.
There you go. Yeah, man, he was good. Oh God, are these players that I've played with? They have to be players that I've played with.
Oh no, you can players that any player across any year of any basketball league.
Well, I'm going to do this just for. I mean, I don't know whether it's talent-wise, although this guy was very, very talented. I have a great memory of Robert Youngblood. You know who Robert Youngblood is?
I'm not actually aware. No.
Okay, no problem. So he's so when I was a junior playing for Doncaster Panthers, we used to get to see the BBL games. So I was 18, and we used to watch the Budweiser League games. And he used to play for London Leopards. Now this is when he first came over from America. Now this guy's big, athletic, handsome, American. Like he's just like I was just like, this guy's sick. Before he'd even touched the ball, I was like, he looks great. And then I saw him playing, and he was like the most aggressive, angry, dominant player ever. Like he would grab a rebound, like so he would sky like what felt like the top of the backboard. As he pulled down a rebound, he'd be like, he'd just swing his elbows around, bodies would just be flying everywhere, and I'd be like, oh my God, this guy's sick, he's an absolute animal. And then, so I would probably pick him because I have that lasting memory of him. Obviously, there's a lot of players from back in the day that stand out, but I just always remember looking at him and thinking, he's sick. And then I've worked with him and coached alongside him and stuff. And he's actually a really, really great guy. He's hilarious as well. He's really, really funny. So yeah, I pick him. Now what am I on? I'm a big man.
Big man, center.
Ooh. That's tough.
So you got all these local guys, and then you got Shaq.
Yeah. Man, I don't really know. That's a tough one. Jeff Bevington's from back in the day, but I don't even think he was a centre. He was just a big man. But I don't even know whether he was an actual centre. Oh man, you've put me on a spot, and I'm really, really taking loads of time to think about it.
Take as much time as you need. It's a tough question. It's a very tough question. To be fair, I don't know who I'd, but I love asking. This is why I ask the questions, because I hate answering them.
Yeah. All right. Like I'm gonna throw this guy in at center again because more of memories and more of what he did for me back in the day. Like not saying that he's like a domineering center that would just batter everyone in the BBL type thing. Like this guy did a lot for me back in the day. So he's called Phil Gorgon. Now he's 6'11", and I'd never seen someone that tall in my entire life. So I'm going to go back a bit. So back in the day when I played with Russell in his bag, then I played juniors, but I also found another men's team, which was Yorkshire Premier League, and they were called Kingston Icebergs. So I found out about them, got on my little push bike, drove to the road to the other side of the city on my bike, and I remember just as I was about to walk in the double doors, the door opened, and this massive giant just head through the door and like towered over me, and I was like, oh, hi, I'm here to play basketball. I was hoping I could join in. And he was like, no, this is a men's session, you can't play. He literally just told me flat out, you can't play. I was like, but I've come from the other side of the city on my bike, like I'm not bad, can I join in? And he's like, oh, all right, come in. Anyway, I did like all the drills, and then the rest is history, so to speak. And he really, really took me under his wing, and we used to like drive to games in his car, and it was always me and him. And he kind of just gave me the like, didn't put any shackles on me. Like, Taran, just do your thing. As long as you play like reasonably, don't go crazy taking on 5 people, whatever. Just do your thing. Because I think a lot of coaches like restrict players and say, oh, you can't do this. Like I've had coaches in the past say, I've put it between my legs, and they've said, oh, we're not doing that street ball shit. If you want to do that, get to the streets and blah, blah, blah. Don't do that. And I've literally just put it between my legs. But those guys there, Phil Gorgon, allowed me just to play. And I think it really, really helped my game. So I'm going to throw him in there. And he was actually a good player. He played BBL at Budweiser League as well. I think that was actually for Doncaster as well before I got there. So he did play a decent level. Yeah, so he's going to be my centre.
So just to go down the list. So you're starting at shooting guard. So who have you got a point?
So Ryan Patton, point guard. Patton. Me at shooting guard, but really Jamie Davidson.
You get subbed off.
Yeah, I'll sub off for him. Jimmy Ratliff. However, I want to add Tintin in there, man, because I think sometimes I forget just how good Tintin was or is, because he's my mate and like we just goof around so much. Like I don't really I forget that he's actually amazing at basketball.
Yeah. Especially
like if you're just scrimmaging with him or playing even half court with him, like you really see the skill set. Like I think a lot of people when they watch him in the BBL, they just think, oh, he's just a massive guy that can shoot threes and he's got a really nice form. But his skill set is unbelievable. His footwork is unbelievable. Like he's a very, very, very good player. So, I might have to switch. I might have to switch Jimmy Ratliff for a Tintin, you know. Yeah, and then so what was it? Ryan Patton, Jamie Davidson, Jimmy Ratliff and Tintin.
Yeah.
Who was the four?
Phil Gordon. Phil Gordon.
Oh, who was the centre then?
Oh, Jeff Bevington.
No, I said Phil. Oh my God. Yeah, Phil Gorgon's the centre. Jeff Bevington's the four. There you go.
So
Ryan, Jamie, Tintin, Jeff,
Phil. Awesome. And
there we go.
You've kind of gone down the Rafael Thomas Edwards route, where you've gone for players that are, sort of, closer to home and sort of, guys that you'd have a lot of chemistry with. Whereas a guy like Ali Fuller went for Magic Johnson and Kevin Durant. So
I thought it had to be British based. I mean, did you specify at the beginning?
I did say that it could be from any league, anywhere.
All right. Okay.
But I mean, your team could probably still kick off with Magic Johnson.
Yeah. I think if it was an NBA team, it'd just be like full of flash.
Yeah.
Like Kyrie Irving at 1, Jamal Crawford at 2. I might put KD at 3.
I mean, you can mix them into your team at the moment before you finalise it.
No, I'll stick with what I said.
Okay.
Yeah.
Awesome. And finally, I'd like you to name your head coach of Team Taran.
So one of my coaches from back in the day is Bob Martin. He's a bit of a legendary coach in this country, especially up north around Doncaster. So Bob Martin's up there. But I think for me, Garnett Gale was a player coach at Sheffield Arrows. Now he's played BBL. He played for England. 6'3", 6'4", and now he's actually a bit of an inspiration to me. So he was when I was playing for Arrows, which was years ago. He was in his 40s, and he was holding it down, like really holding it down. And I always used to think, man, I want to be like that when I'm his age. I want to be like that. There's a few people that I look up to like that are older, that were still able to give out work. And I always thought I want to be like that. And he was really, really one of them. And he is tough, like tough physically, but tough on his players. Like I've never been shouted at by a human being as aggressively and as loudly as he did to me. I'll quickly tell you the story. I'll be quick. So we're at EIS, we're at training, and the emphasis was moving the ball, not letting it stick. So every single time someone called the ball, he'd be like, move the ball, pass the ball. As soon as it touched your hands, you have to get rid. Anyway, he drove and kicked it to me. And he'd like give me a dodgy pass. So it wasn't on time and on target. It was like up there. And I had to reload. And I remember him going, and I think I passed it because now the defender was on me because I had to kind of readjust and get it back to my shot pocket. So I had to pass. And he was like, shoot that fucking ball, Taran. And like the other guy had shot by now. And so I'm backpedaling. And under my breath, I'm like, oh God, move the ball, move the ball, move the ball, shoot the ball, Taran. But I was kind of talking to myself. It wasn't even that loud. Dude, this guy went, stop the fucking scrimmage, stop. And he went nuts and he screamed at me. He said, don't you ever effing talk to me like that again. Don't ever come out with comments like that again, or else I'll send you back to shitty hole where you came from. And I was just there like that. But he said it like at the top of his voice, veins popped like in his forehead, in his neck. And I was like, okay. Like, tough, man. He was tough. But I really think it helped my development.
Wow. So everybody watching, take that team in and keep an eye out for my social media, because we're going to be having some interesting things with these teams that I'm doing with all the people that I interview. It's going to get very interesting very soon. So just to kind of round off the interview, so I'd like to just ask a couple of last questions. So what do you think is the biggest event that you've ever like sort of either been a street baller at, or the biggest crowd you've ever played in front of?
The biggest crowd it was actually it's not played in front of. I did a freestyling job at the EuroLeague finals.
Oh.
And it was at the O2 Arena, and I think there was 20,000 fans there, and a lot of them were Turkish, Greek, Olympiacos, Greek, right?
Yeah, Greek.
Yeah.
Greek.
They go nuts, and they're renowned for like being crazy.
Flares.
And yeah. So like it was we were the entertainment. So halftime entertainment. I think we had a beatboxer, a breakdancer, a guy doing football tricks, and us doing freestyling. And then like throwing, they had people throwing t-shirts into the crowd and stuff like that. So 20,000 people at the O2. That was kind of scary.
Wow.
So that was freestyling. The biggest event that I've played at is the Jump 10 tournament in Shanghai, China.
Awesome.
So the money that those guys have, man. We were talking about the money in this country or the lack of it. Those guys, the money, oh my God, like you could just tell from like the entertainment, from the lighting, from just the arena, the outside court that they've got for you to practice on. Like, yeah, man, they had Giannis there throwing the ball up for the tip-off of the first game. And I bet he doesn't come cheap. Kirilenko was there hanging out. Like, it was big. Like, that was a major event. Yeah,
wow.
Man, I think it was 4 days or so, I can't remember, in Shanghai, China. And Tintin was there. I've actually got to shout him out because he was the one that put me on. I think the coach or the organizer was like, yeah, we need a guard. Can anyone put any suggestions? He was like, yeah, Taran's perfect for this type of event. And so that's how I got on.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
That's really cool. And moving on from big events and big life moments, what would you say? I think I might have a bit of an inkling of what this answer might be. What are you most proud of in your life?
You think you've got an idea and I don't? That's
we mentioned you crossing up a little man earlier on, and I was thinking, we'll be wholesome.
No. I mean, the first thing that popped into my head is my son. Like, just making. Obviously, I just want to make him proud. So he grows up. I want to leave kind of. I don't want to say a legacy. It sounds a bit cheesy, but kind of along those lines. Like, so when he's older, he can be like, oh wow, like Daddy did all this. Like, he played in China, he was on TV, he was in a film, he was in a documentary, he was all these cool things. So I think, I just want him to be proud of his pops. And then I'm trying to keep in shape so then I can play with him at a decent level. Like, I don't want to be some old man, like not being able to move, So yeah, that's one of the big things.
And for those that you briefly mentioned you've been in a film. For those that don't know, talk about what that was like and what type of movie you were in, and like sort of. Research. I was like, oh, he's got an IMDb page. So I'm pretty sure you've got like an IMDb page for that film.
Okay. Hang on, let me have a look. I'll have a look at that. The film's called Freestyle. They tagged it like the British Save the Last Dance, if anybody's seen that. So it's very cliche. It's very, very cheesy. It's a black kid from Hackney, low income family, meets this really posh girl, and she's got loads of money, and they kind of fall for each other, but they're from completely different backgrounds, and they shouldn't really mix, so to speak. And then they're competing for this. There's this freestyle tournament, £15,000. He wants the 15,000. He wants to win £15,000 for to go to university. But then he starts teaching her, and then he starts thinking, hang on, why am I teaching her when I've got to try and win? It's pretty cool. It's very, very low budget. It was supposed to be a £2 million film, and then the money got pulled, and it was like all done on £150,000.
Wow.
So lighting, cameras, actors, everything, a whole film for 150 grand. So it's pretty good. It is very cheesy. If you want to watch, the funny thing is, I thought, let me look for it. It's on YouTube in French. So you've got me going, oh, je m'appelle. It's hilarious. So you've got me, who's a Frenchman, and it's very, very weird. It's got over 2 million views though.
Wow.
Yeah, man. But then I think you can hire it for like £2.50. But yeah. I mean, it's all right. It's interesting. That was cool.
What was the filming like?
What was
the filming like?
Long hours. Like it's much more difficult than people realize. Much more difficult than they can envision. So you do something, cut, the lighting wasn't right, do it again. They set up, you do it again. Cut, there was a car in the background, do it again. And it's like that for every single scene. It's really, really, grueling. It's grueling. It was good though. It was a good experience. Yeah.
Definitely. I mean, for those that haven't seen the film, I recommend it. We're looking at a few clips I saw. I was like, this is I mean, as you say, it's pretty cheesy, but it's for those that the young kids growing up, but basketball, it's for the kids.
That's what I think. 100% older guys cringe, older people cringe. There is some I watched it like this. You got to remember, 90% of the people in the film had never acted ever. Never acted. I've never acted in my life. And then they're like, you are going to be the main character's arch rival. I was like, God damn. So 90% of the people have never acted before. So if people watch it with that in their mind, then I think they'll be a bit more accepting.
I mean, going back to your little 2-year-old, I think when it comes to bring dad to work, bring dad to school, all you got to do is bring a basketball, and the kids will be entertained for at least 5 minutes. That can be your entire presentation.
This is true. I'll just do some freestyling.
Put freestyler in the background, and just be like, spin the ball on your finger for the entirety of the one scene that you're in, or not the one scene, but like a scene that you're in.
Yeah, sounds good. I will.
So moving on to maybe a bit more of a wholesome question. From being obviously proud of your son, what would you say is the best piece of advice that you've ever been given?
That's a tough one. None really stick out. I've been given lots, obviously, in the past, because I've played a lot of basketball with a lot of veterans, and I've had lots of coaches and stuff like that. But No, nothing really sticks out, and I don't want it to sound cliche if I said them anyway, but yeah, just treat others how you would like to be treated. You know, the basic, that type of stuff. But they all come together and make you that person. I do have a quite a good quote which I quite like. Is it's not really advice, but it's one that really stuck with me. Haters will see you walk on water and say it's because you can't swim. And that really stuck with me. I was like, I love that. So it's not really advice. I mean, I saw it and it stuck with me, and it's so true. Like, it's so true.
Definitely. And moving on from that advice or like quote, so here on this podcast interview, I like to take people back in time, in a time machine, to little 10-year-old selves, so that you can give advice to little 10-year-old Tarryn. So what advice would you give to yourself at 10 years old?
I'm actually gonna use a quote of my friend Andrew Wilding's, which is be a flamingo amongst a flock of pigeons. That doesn't mean dress up as a flamingo. Basically, outwork everybody, work hard, have resilience. I think a lot of kids nowadays, obviously I coach every day in a school, resilience, like kids are not tough. They're not tough mentally. There's a lot of distractions in the world, and there's a lot of hate in the world. There's a lot of online bullying and just in general, just in school. Like, so you have to be tough. Don't let people get you down. Just power through and just do you, really, basically.
Awesome. And you mentioned you teaching in a school. Is it easy for sort of kids to get involved with, or
what, basketball in my school?
Yeah,
because I'm there strictly as a full-time basketball coach.
That's awesome.
So so when they start in year 7, I'll be in assembly going, I'm basketball man, look at me spin the ball, and do some tricks, a bit like what you said I would do at my son's team. So I just go in there and I say, welcome to school. I'm a full-time basketball coach. Let's do this. Come to a session, and I'll make it really fun. I put music on, and like we just try and make them fall in love with the game. So it's easy to get into basketball at my school.
Oh, I have like an image in my head now of you performing like Bow Wow's Basketball. The song at the end of Space Jam. Yeah, basketball. It's my favorite. In assembly, like the kids go, "What is this?
Who is this performing seal?"
Have you got any plans to like move outside of the school, or like move into more like private coaching, or?
I do. I do some private coaching here in Essex. I've just recently moved into Essex, Chelmsford. So I do. I do coaching, but ideally I would like to, because I travel back and forth from Essex to London every morning. Like, I'm in my car at 6 a.m. and it can be a bit draining in the winter months. So, I mean, an ideal plan would possibly be to have a basketball academy here in Chelmsford at some point. But I mean, I've got a few kind of plans in my head that I want to do, which I don't want to put out there just yet. I don't want to jinx it or whatever. But there's a few things. But a basketball academy would be pretty good. I was a head coach of a basketball academy in London, West London, and I enjoyed that. So it'd be good to have one of those in Chelmsford.
Do you have many people coming along to your sessions in Essex?
We've only just started. It's only been like the last month, and I haven't promoted it or done any type of advertisement for it at all. I get kids hitting me up every now and then on Instagram and say, "Hey, do you do sessions?" I'm like, "Yeah, let's go." That's it. But I think it could get pretty big. Because in Essex, Chelmsford, I see loads of kids on outdoor courts and walking the streets with basketballs, and you see hoops in back gardens and stuff, and I'm like, scratching my chin, like thinking, yeah, I could maybe do something out here.
I mean, for those that are wondering where they can get into basketball, maybe you are in the Essex area watching this. The link to Tarryn's Instagram, or if you've got an email, I can put that in the link in the description as well. For to get in contact with Tarryn and try and play some basketball with one of the best street ballers in the UK.
Oh, thank you.
You're too nice.
Stop it.
So is there anything that you'd like to plug, or like to shout out, or anything at the end of this?
I think you've just done it, mate. You've done it. It's all good.
So yeah, definitely go and check out Tarryn's Instagram. Hit him up if you want to go play with some private sessions of basketball, and just learn to love the game of basketball. Please, let's grow.
Yeah, man, definitely.
So thank you very much for joining me here, Taran. It's been an absolute pleasure to be speaking to you.
Thank you, mate. It's been good. It's been a good laugh.
Absolutely brilliant. So if you'd like to subscribe to this channel, that'd be fantastic. To like and share with all your friends, that'd be amazing as well. To see all the conversations that me and Taran have, that'd be amazing. So if you are also interested in my content on Instagram and Twitter, those links will be in the description or on the screen right now, probably around this bit. So yeah. I hope you guys enjoyed, and the one and only. Oh, there we go.
Asphalt Assassins. Here we go. There we go. I forgot to put that. That's our 3-on-3 team. Yeah. So we've got an Instagram page. People can have a look at that as well.
Awesome. Check out the assassins. Hopefully they won't come in and assassinate anybody. Or it's kind of like the ankle assassins, right?
Yeah. Well, yeah, it's more like people are like asphalt assassins. What, you assassinate the asphalt? It's like, no, the people on the asphalt. We do our assassinating on the asphalt. Shouldn't really have to explain it, should I?
No, not really. But yeah, some people are just oh, here's my joke. Straight over. But anyways, thank you so much, guys, for joining me here on this interview. The one and only, the teacher, Taran Algar.
See you later, mate. Thanks.